The file is open. The ledger is sitting right there on the desk. I want you to just imagine for a second. You're looking at the monthly financial records of a major Hollywood celebrity. You're scanning the rows, expecting the usual, the agent's 10%, PR retainers, maybe a private jet. But then your finger stops. There's this new column. It's a huge recurring outflow of cash. And the note next to it just says 10 people on the books.
And right below that, another phrase, significant financial contributions.
Exactly. And the money isn't going to some shell company. It isn't a crypto scheme. It's moving from the Hollywood Hills to Oklahoma City. I mean, if this were a movie, you'd assume it's hush money, right? A payout to keep some dark secret buried.
It has all the markings of a scandal, doesn't it? A secret payroll in the middle of nowhere.
But when you actually zoom in, the truth is so much weirder. It's stand-up comedian John Mulaney fully funding the lives of his wife Olivia Munn's extended Vietnamese family. And the internet. Well, the internet has absolutely no idea what to do with this information.
It's such a fascinating story. We're watching a cultural collision play out in real time on a balance sheet.
And that is exactly what we're unpacking today. Welcome to StarScope Report. We are so ready to dig into this because, honestly, the headline, Mulaney funds 10 family members, is shocking. But the story behind it is way more complex. Why is everyone arguing about a son-in-law paying the bills? And what does this tell us about Mulaney's new life?
That's the big question. And to answer it, we have to look past the headlines. We're not just reacting to a viral clip here. Join us as we uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture.
We are pulling from some really specific sources today to get the full picture. We've got Mulaney's incredibly candid appearance on Mike Birbiglia's Working It Out podcast, episode 200, which is a huge deal. We're also looking at reports from Variety, The Independent, and, of course, the absolute battlefield that is the Reddit comments section about his new Mr. Whatever tour.
And our mission here is to trace the arc. To understand how John Mulaney went from being this sort of boyish comic, joking about addiction and feeling useless, to suddenly being the great provider for a refugee family. We have to look at the culture clash over money and why half the internet thinks this is sweet and the other half sees it as a white savior flex.
Let's start with the confession itself, because the way he framed it on the podcast was just wild. Mulaney sits down with Birbiglia and just drops this. For 39 years, he supported exactly 0 Vietnamese people. And now
he has, and this is a direct quote, 10 on the books.
On the books. It sounds like he's running a small business.
It is such a specific choice of words. It implies a payroll. But to get why it's funny and why it's so significant, you have to look at where Mulaney comes from versus where he landed. This isn't just about a rich guy being generous.
Right, let's look at the Mulaney origin story. If you followed his comedy, you know his background is classic upper-middle-class Chicago. His parents are both successful lawyers. He went to Georgetown. In his house, money was like a ghost. It was there, but you never looked at it directly. It was, as he puts it, back of the mind.
Which is such a perfect way to describe that kind of affluent repression. We have money, but we shall never speak of it. If you ask how much the car cost, you're being rude. It's polite, but it's incredibly distant.
And that distance had a real psychological cost. Mulaney's talked about this. He always felt this strange lack of utility. He said he felt useless because he couldn't financially help his own parents. They didn't need him.
Think about that for a second. Being the kid who can't offer anything your parents don't already have. You're the funny one, maybe, but you aren't the provider. You don't have a concrete function. And for a man, especially when struggling with addiction, that lack of purpose can be, it can be devastating.
And then enter the Schmid family.
Enter Olivia Munn's mother, Kimberly Schmid. The context here is just vital. She arrived in the U.S. as a refugee from Vietnam in 1975, right at the end of the war. She landed in Oklahoma City. So you go from a family of lawyers in Chicago to a family that literally rebuilt their lives from scratch in Oklahoma.
And Mulaney isn't just buying them dinner. He calls himself a significant financial contributor. But here is where the cultural wires get crossed in the best way. Birbiglia asks him the question we're all thinking. He says, John, do you think they secretly wonder if you're going to give them money?
And Mulaney's response is just, it's perfect. He says, it's not in the back of their mind. It is at the front of the voice.
The front of the voice. I love that. It's
brilliant, isn't it? He says they literally just ask him, how much money do you have? Can you even imagine that happening at the Mulaney Thanksgiving table in Chicago?
Absolutely not. Someone would faint. But here, you're passing the potatoes, and his mother-in-law is like, so, John, what's the liquid cash balance looking like right now?
And the fascinating part is Mulaney loves it. You'd think he'd be uncomfortable, but he finds it refreshing. With his family, everything is subtext. With the Schmid family, the text is the text. If they need something, they just ask.
He tells this story about taking 9 of them shopping. And you can hear this immense joy in it. He finally gets to be the guy who can fix things with a credit card. It's like a role he was denied his whole life.
It validates him, it makes him necessary, but it does raise a question. I mean, it sounds like a sitcom, but we have to remember the context. Is there maybe a darker reason Mulaney feels this intense need to be the hero? Because if we look at the timeline, this isn't just about money, it's really about survival.
That's a great point. We know Mulaney's cutting the checks, but wait until you hear how he spends his Friday nights now. It involves a literal notepad, his mother-in-law, and a very specific genre of television. That heartwarming or maybe slightly obsessive detail is coming up.
And if you love dissecting the weird financial dynamics of the A-list as much as we do, make sure you're subscribed to StarScope Report. We have a deep dive on celebrity prenups next week that you will not want to miss.
So we've established Mulaney is like Bank of Oklahoma for his in-laws. But you mentioned a darker context. Because this isn't just John got rich and married a nice girl. This relationship was forged in fire.
Absolute fire. We cannot separate the money from the medical trauma. You have to look at the dates. Olivia Munn was diagnosed with aggressive breast cancer in April 2023. This was a crisis, a double mastectomy, 4 surgeries in a really short period of time.
And this is all happening right after they have their son, Malcolm, in 2021.
Yeah.
And then just recently, in September 2024, they welcomed their daughter, May, via surrogate because of Munn's health.
Exactly. It's just a relentless sequence of life and death events. So Mulaney's comedy has shifted. Baby J was all about drug recovery, the intervention. But now he's pivoting to domestic chaos. He jokes about Munn having cancer brain. There's this bit where he talks about going to the doctor, and Munn, in a fog, refers to his sperm as, well, you know, right in front of the medical staff.
Which is horrifying and hilarious, but it really feels like a coping mechanism.
It is. They cope through that kind of bluntness. And that brings us back to the mother-in-law, Kimberly. She isn't just a line item on his budget. She's been living with them in California to help. She is in the trenches with them.
This is the detail that gets me. Mulaney and his mother-in-law, Kimberly, have become besties. But in the most Mulaney way possible. They watch Korean dramas together.
Yeah.
But they don't just watch them. Mulaney keeps a physical notepad. He writes down the plot points. He tracks the characters. He checks them off as they get resolved.
It's so endearing, but let's just pause and look at that behavior. Mulaney is a recovering addict. Addiction is often about a lack of control. Now he's sober, he's a father, and he's watching these chaotic soap operas. But he is imposing structure on them. He's taking notes, he's controlling the narrative, he's finding order in her world because his own world felt like it was spinning off its axis for so long.
That is really deep.
Yeah.
I just thought he really liked K-dramas. But you're right, he's replacing one obsession with a healthy one. He's organizing the chaos of the TV show because he can't always organize the chaos of cancer.
Precisely. And I want to circle back to the money for a second because there's a big misconception here that we need to clear up.
Right. It would be easy to assume, based on the jokes, that Munn's family is destitute, that he's saving them from poverty.
But that's not the case, is it?
No, not at all. Munn's siblings are highly educated. We're talking a lawyer, an astrophysicist, and Olivia Munn herself. She was an early investor in Uber. Her net worth is estimated at over $10 million. She is not hurting for cash.
So, if they have money and she has money, why is Mulaney paying for everything?
It doesn't make sense on paper.
Unless you understand the concept of filial piety. This proves the financial support is cultural. It's about collective wealth. In many refugee narratives, success isn't individual. If one person makes it to the John Mulaney level of wealth, that resource belongs to the whole family. It's not charity, it's duty.
So Mulaney, from his individualist, don't talk about money background, finds this fascinating. He's not saving them because they're broke. He's participating in their family structure because he wants to be part of the tribe.
He's buying his way into a collective identity, but here's the thing. Not everyone sees it that way.
Oh, definitely not. Because while Mulaney is having a great time with his notepad and his checkbook, the internet has thoughts.
Yeah.
Specifically about his new stand-up routine. And the word racist is being thrown around.
It raises a really important question. When does appreciating a culture cross the line into performing it for laughs?
We are going to get into that backlash right now. Coming up, Mulaney does an accent on stage. Is it affectionate mimicry or is it offensive? The Reddit threads are on fire and we're diving in.
But before we get to that, if you are enjoying this depth dive, hit that subscribe button. We're tracking the Mr. Whatever tour dates, and you'll want to be notified if this whole thing gets any bigger.
Okay, let's get into the mess. The Mr. Whatever tour, Mulaney's on stage, he's doing a 15-minute bit about his in-laws, and he does the voice.
He uses a Vietnamese accent to mimic them, specifically their direct questions about his money.
And the reaction has been split right down the middle.
It really has. On one side, you have the critics who've been all over the Sir Pop culture and Arjan Mulaney threads, and there's a really vocal group calling it cringe. They're saying it's punching down.
The argument is basically, you're a wealthy white man, you're branding yourself as the great white provider for a minority family, and now you're using a stereotypical accent to get laughs at their expense. It feels icky to a lot of people.
It's the white savior flex accusation. Like, look at me, I take care of all these people, and aren't they funny with their blunt questions? It's a valid concern. There's a fine line between appreciation and caricature.
But then you have side B, the defenders. And what really stood out to me is that a lot of them are identifying as Vietnamese Americans.
Yes, and their take is very different. They're arguing that the money talk Mulaney described is culturally 100% accurate. They're saying, my family does this too. They argue the accent isn't a generic caricature, but a specific recreation of his actual in-laws.
They see it as specific, not stereotypical. And really, if you look at the structure of the joke, who is the butt of the joke?
Mulaney is. That's the whole defense. He's framing their culture as the better one. They're liberated. They want to know the bank balance. They just ask. He's the one who's terrified of the question. He frames his own culture as uptight.
But there is another layer here. We talked earlier about the wife guy thing. Mulaney was the ultimate wife guy with his ex-wife. His whole act was, my wife is a badass, I'm a scared child.
And then that imploded very publicly. And now some critics are saying he's just pivoted from wife guy to son-in-law guy.
That is scathing. It's implying he has no identity of his own.
But is it wrong? Their argument is that he's still deriving his identity from his partner. He's still the scared child looking for a strong family structure to absorb him. He just changed the cast of characters.
I kind of see it.
Yeah.
But I think he's aware of it.
Yeah.
Because in the same tour, he has this joke that is pure chaos. He talks about starting a business where he drives a rented Scion to your house to punch your dad in the face.
The Emerald Package.
Yes, for $72. It's so violent and weird.
It is, and I think that juxtaposition is deliberate. On one hand, he's the generous notepad-holding son-in-law. On the other, he's this chaotic force threatening to punch dads. It highlights that he's still wrestling with his own demons. The baby J energy is still there.
It's like he's saying, I'm buying groceries for grandma, but I'm still dangerous enough to rent a Scion and cause problems.
It keeps him from being too saintly.
It creates tension, and comedy lives in that tension. Before we wrap this up, hit that subscribe button. We are tracking the Mr. Whatever tour, and you want to be notified if this controversy gets any bigger.
So where does this leave us? We have a comedian who spent his career joking about being a child in an adult's body.
A man who looked like a tall child who got lost, as he said. And now he found purpose. He found great joy in being the guy who pays for 10 people.
I keep thinking about the image from his show at the Largo. He walked out on stage wearing a blindfold. He had to be guided to the microphone so he wouldn't walk off the edge.
A blindfold, why?
Well, ostensibly it was an exercise in trust, but I think it's the perfect metaphor for where he is right now. He is navigating this incredibly complex new life, new wife, new babies, cancer, recovery, a massive Vietnamese family. He's stumbling around in the dark trying to figure out the rules.
Stumbling, but he's trying to pay the bill.
Exactly. And here's the final thought I want to leave you with. Mulaney jokes that his in-laws love him for his money. But let's look at the reality. He's a recovering addict. His wife just went through a life-threatening illness. He's got cancer brain and new dad brain colliding.
Do you think he needs them more than they need him?
I do. In a world of chaos, maybe Mulaney needs their bluntness. He needs that front-of-the-voice honesty. Maybe he isn't buying their affection. Maybe he's buying himself the family structure he never had. He's paying for the privilege of being asked to his face, who are you and what do you have? Because for the first time in his life, he doesn't have to hide the answer.
Wow. That changes the whole joke, doesn't it? It's not about the money.
It's about the honesty. It usually is.
You've been listening to StarScope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.